Okay, so here's the latest here. Let me just kind of give everyone a quick idea. I mentioned there was a good article in The Athletic, and they're talking specifically about Bradley Beal. I would imagine something's going to be cooking here pretty soon on Bradley Beal. But here's basically what the article revealed as far as the 4 or 5 teams that still have a shot, what they can offer Bradley Beal, and just how realistic this thing is. For those who don't know, Bradley Beal is still owed. How wild is this? Dude is still owed about $111 million over the next 2 years. If he's going to get bought out, he's got to give up at least $13.8 million to the Suns, and then they'll be allowed to obviously stretch him from there. And what teams like the Lakers are going to do, or the Clippers, or what are these other teams? They're going to try to give him as much money as he can that he's basically giving back to the Phoenix Suns. But not everybody can give him what he's probably hoping for. If it's just coming down to money. The dude's about to get $111 million on top of the $250 and change that his contract was. And here I am complaining about a couple $1 million. So here's where we are. There is a little bit of battle for Bradley Beal. I'm sure there's a lot of teams out there trying to make their case to Bradley Beal. No. This is the best position for you. This is the best spot for you. Here's what the Lakers can offer Bradley Beal. They can offer him the biannual exception, which is about $5.1 million is what the Lakers can offer, okay? The Bucks can offer him the minimum. So they can only offer so much, and they're not in the best position. They're going to hope that because Damian Lillard's not there and he's not going to be playing all season long, and they have Giannis, and obviously they got Miles Turner and Bobby Portis and some other players. They're hoping he just comes to the Eastern Conference and competes with them in Milwaukee. That's, their pipe dream. We'll see if that's realistic or not. I did see something yesterday as well that the Minnesota Timberwolves are also a team of interest, but they didn't really share the details of how they'd be able to and what kind of money they'd be able to give him. So keep that in mind. So then it comes to 2 other teams that I haven't mentioned yet. The Warriors, wildly complicated because they got Jonathan Kuminga. They'd have to do some type of, they're not 100% sure what they're going to do with him. Golden State would like to find a sign and trade to send Kuminga elsewhere, but doesn't have traction on one at the moment. I'm reading from the article here. League sources tell The Athletic. If a deal is made for Kuminga that doesn't bring back any money to the Warriors, then they would have access to $4.1 million, the mid-level exception, to where they could go after Bradley Beal, and they'd be able to offer a lot more than anybody else can. So keep an eye on the Golden State Warriors. The last team that I have not mentioned yet, that if you're trying to put the pieces together, and it does feel like is the favorite to get Bradley Beal on their roster, which I think would whether they get him or not, I think the Clippers are going to be very competitive this upcoming year. I'm not telling you they're going to be the favorites to win a championship, but I do think this puts them in that top 4 in the Western Conference conversation. If they're able to grab Bradley Beal, they can offer $5.3 million. And every article that I'm reading out there, it seems like the Clippers are the favorites. It seems like the Clippers have the best shot of getting Bradley Beal. And a lot of that has to do with that trade that went down yesterday. I think right before I started doing my show, trade goes down. They trade Norman Powell. Norman Powell, who was phenomenal for them last year. They trade him to Miami. They grab John Collins from Utah. Utah is just Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, a second-round pick. They already waived or bought out Kevin Love, whatever they did in regards to his contract. He's going to end up being somewhere else. But the Clippers have positioned themselves, and I think the reason why they've positioned themselves is because they made that Norman Powell trade. They have a roster that makes a lot of sense, and he could slot into the starting lineup, and that's really what the Lakers are competing with. What the Lakers are competing with right now is they're going to try to make a case for Bradley Beal. Okay, what's that case going to be? Is it going to be, hey, Beal, come off the bench for us. We'll give you the 5.1. You're in LA. Help us win. We got Luka. We got LeBron. We got a couple guys that can set you up all day long. But the problem with their situation and their position, unless you're moving Reeves to the bench and having Austin Reeves come to, by the way, I'm open to anything. I mean, I was saying last year, I wouldn't have mind Austin Reeves coming off the bench and Dorian Finney-Smith coming into the starting lineup. So I'm all ears on any idea that the Lakers have, and maybe they are able to talk to Austin Reeves and they're able to offer him a starting position. But what the Lakers are going to be battling with is maybe he is waiting to see can the Golden State Warriors make some type of a deal with Jonathan Kuminga so I could go get that 14.1? Maybe he's not in a rush and saying, I'm going to take my time on this. Is he waiting for the I's to be dotted and the T to be crossed and say, you know what? No, the Clippers are absolutely the best fit for me to be at. Or is he looking at the Milwaukee Bucks and saying, why don't I just go to the Eastern Conference like I was when I was in Washington and go to a team and just try to roll up my sleeves and see if I could help the Bucks. And if I'm able to help the Bucks, then, it makes me look good as well. So let's just say the Lakers got a lot of challenges. It's going to be trouble, or it's going to be difficult, I think is the right word, in order for them to try to find a way to get Bradley Beal on the team. But they're in the runnings and they're in the conversation. And that's really the main thing that I can point out here is every article that I've been reading here over the last 48 hours or so, every article, there's a similar theme. And the theme is, here's a handful of teams that got a shot at Bradley Beal, and Lakers have been one of those teams that have been associated.
Well, I think the Clippers have a real case. They have quite a team coming in, and the Lakers do too, but getting out of Norm Powell because they didn't want to extend him seemed to open up minutes at that position. So arguably there's an opportunity there. And I think that's kind of the question that, is the answer, but ultimately it's a human being making a decision about what he wants to do, right? So as much as the media or anybody wants to project, it's really what does he want? And, I try to follow, like, if someone's married and they're in the NBA and their wife or spouse is from X, there tends to be a draw there. For instance, De'Aaron Fox's significant other wanted him in San Antonio, not Houston. He's in San Antonio. And so there's believed to be a pull. And again, this is, I don't know what Bradley Beal's motivation is, but there's supposed to be a pull that go to LA because, number one, if you're in Phoenix, it's right there. It's a very easy transition. Going to Milwaukee, Minnesota, somewhere where it's cold might not appeal. Those are the kind of reasons that I don't know if fans normally think about, but sometimes it's just like, what does the spouse want and what's the weather? But then after that, then it becomes a few things like chances to win a championship or play at a high level as a team. And then there's this, the more selfish, and I don't mean that in a negative way, of what is your opportunity? Like DeAndre Ayton could have gone anywhere, but he chose to go to the Lakers because he gets a chance to play with Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and has the best chance of being the best center offensively that he could be with those guys setting him up. So if you translate that to Bradley Beal and you look at the Lakers, do they offer him that opportunity? Do they have a strong enough backup too? Does Beal want to be starting? Because he might not start behind Austin Reeves. Rather, yeah, I'm trying to think, maybe at 3. You could start him at 3 theoretically, but now, are you benching Rui? And are you going with like a pure offensive lineup and taking away the defense? Not that Rui's this incredible defender, but just positionally, you're. I don't know if Beal starts in LA. Whereas with the Clippers, you could argue he steps right into the starting lineup. I think they probably need Chris Dunn to play defense in that group next to Harden, but I think they can argue, hey, we'll start Beal and Harden and Kawhi and Zubats and a defender, maybe Derek Jones Jr. or something else, maybe someone I'm forgetting. And
Collins, who they just got to, is an option.
Right, Collins too, if they want to go big. So these are questions that we can't answer. We can't speak for Bradley Beal and what he wants. So I think it's, I can make an argument as to why Lakers are a bigger spotlight team, and playing with LeBron and Luka, they need a shooter. That you could argue it, but I hope we find out soon enough. It's always fun to sort of speculate and theorize.
I know that maybe you, just from your experience, how much does a player like Bradley Beal, or does it not matter how long this gets dragged out for? And let me tell you what I mean by that. Part of the article that I was reading in The Athletic, and it was a good piece that just kind of broke down what some of the different teams can offer. The Warriors, it's a little bit more complicated because of Jonathan Kuminga. And they would, I think, need to do some type of a sign and trade for him, not bring back money in. And if they can do that, then it's 14.1 that they got available for Bradley Beal. And I'm sure they could make a case why Beal would work in Golden State. I guess the point I'm trying to make is in the past, when players are in this position and they're picking through, different teams, but you got to wait to see the full story based upon what happens with the Golden State Warriors and Kuminga. You think this is something that happens sooner than later, or do you think he's willing to wait and see if a situation like that presents itself?
Well, these things always take longer to like the outside world as the fan base. Like if you're on social media and you're hitting refresh or whatever, watching it scroll, I mean, you expect an answer immediately right now. And if it takes a day or two, this took forever. In retrospect, if you're making a life decision as a human being about where you're going to live with your family and how you're going to continue your career, you might need a week and it might take 10 days. So
yeah, but does Beal not understand? I do a show every day and sometimes I need fresh content.
Well, I mean, if we had all the answers all at once, then you wouldn't have any content as well.
That's a good point. So, yeah, we trickled this out a little bit. There you go, Pinkus. There you go.
So I think there are some players who will go where the most money is no matter what, and that's the answer every time. That's less the case for someone like Beal, who's earned what he's earned. Now, again, he may be all about the money. I don't know. But, a good example would be a young guy who made $3, $4, $5, $10 million total in his career, which is a lot of money for you and I. I can't speak for you. I know you're rolling big, but for me, that'd be a decent amount of money. So if you're making 30, 40, $50 million a year for several years, and your decision is over 2, 3, 4, or even 5, maybe even $10 million, right? If you're saying full mid-level, 14, let's say you could take 3 something out. Yeah, that's a decent amount of money. I don't know that, like, if you have that opportunity of all the things we talked about, like okay, your spouse is happy, you're living in a climate where, okay, it's warm, or it's a nice city, or maybe you're from the Midwest and you want to live in the Midwest and you have family there, or San Antonio or Houston, or whatever. So he'll choose based on his personal things. That the Warriors can give him California, nice weather. It's a little colder up north, but than LA, but it's still a nice climate. A chance to win, play with Jimmy Butler, Steph, Draymond. I mean, that's a ready-made situation. And then if they're also offering more money, that can make that decision. But I mean, for some, we can go back to DeAndre Ayton. Like, he probably, if he really wanted to hold out, might have gotten more money somewhere else versus playing for the Lakers for what he got in the $8 million range. Maybe I don't know his suitors, I don't know the offers, but theoretically he could have just waited and seen if was there $14 million for DeAndre Ayton instead of $8 million with the Lakers. But he's choosing, at least theoretically, where he has the best chance to shine, or these personal reasons. So that's what the answer is going to be for Bradley Beal. What is the best chance for him to earn, have a happy situation with family life, family, kid. I don't know his kid situations, but all that stuff goes into account.
Thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.